Hello, this is a video to go through the Chrome extension and the scopes that we need and how we use it. So this is for 442.487.66712. At least we're going to walk through the oauth consent screen for that client ID. So I have a couple of test accounts here. So let me start here. So this is an email account called info@gettimely.email. I'm going to refresh the page and walk through the oauth consent screen. So there we go. Sign in with Google. So that's the URL on top. So let me see if I can find. So that's the client ID 442.487.66712. So that should basically match what you're looking for. So I'm going to go through. Obviously, it's not verified. So there are three permissions that we get. So the first is to get the gmail.read-only scope to read emails. We get a scope to send an email. We also get a scope for contacts. So we'll walk through exactly how we use all these three scopes. Okay, great. So now that that page is almost loaded, so what we're going to do is I have two accounts, like I mentioned. The first one is info@gettimely.email, and the second account is john@gettimely.email. So I'm going to send an email from info to John. So I'm going to basically say, can you slide deck approval? And I'm going to click on this timely features icon, and I'm going to set an action type of approve. And it selected a due date of tomorrow, which is fine. So, and then we're going to basically say, hey John, can you please approve this slide deck by tomorrow? End of day. Would really appreciate it. Thanks. So that's it. So basically what happened is, so we decorate the email with these labels. We call them action and we call them due date. So far we do not need any scopes yet. Except that when I send this email, I'm going to associate this email with a message ID. And I'm going to read that message ID on the recipient side. And that's where we need the gmail.read-only scope. So this email is sent, and it's associated this message ID with those action and due date labels that you saw. But on John's inbox, when I actually pull this email, sometimes takes a few seconds to load. So this, we associate the action and timing there, and the way we associate this email with this action and due date is by using message IDs, and that's where we need the gmail.read-only scope. The second reason we need the gmail.read-only scope is it sets some notifications. So for example, let's take a look at the notification that I have, and it says that reminder to approve slide deck approval, which is this email that we're looking at, is due within 24 hours. So the way we get the slide deck approval subject as an example is using the gmail.read-only scope. So so far that's sort of what's going on. And the reason we need the contacts API is basically that I can add other people into this email. So maybe let's say that I just need so Srinath sent an email to me. I'm just the only person who needs to approve it, but maybe I want Srinath to approve it as well. And so let's say I add that. So this type ahead is powered through the Contacts API. And the way it's so slick right now, where I can just type info and it gets the info at getTimely, is powered through the Contacts API. And that's the reason we need the scope for Contacts API. So let's say I add this user in here. And that user is added. And on Srinath's side, I get a couple of notifications. Once again, the way we pull these from email address, the subject line, and so on is coming from Gmail read-only API. And it says that John Doe added Srinath as an approver. And there's also another notification saying John Doe was reminded that this email is due. So let me dismiss both of those guys. So hopefully I've illustrated both what this Chrome extension does and why we need gmail.readonly and the Contacts API. So let's say I go ahead and approve this. So it's approved. Now, the one thing that I've not demonstrated to you so far is why we need the send scope. So let me go ahead and set that example up. So let's say I'm going to go through a very similar use case. I'm going to send an email to John. Let me also now add another user who does not use the Chrome extension. So Srinath.Sridhar at plus non-timely at gmail.com. And we would go through a similar example. Let's say slide deck approval non-timely user as well. And then basically I'm going to pick the exact same thing. Set approve due date of, let's make this due date a little bit later so that we don't get some notifications. Let's do that to be Friday. All right, so, and then test non-timely user, so that would be Srinath.Sridhar plus non-timely, and a timely user, who's John Doe. So I'll send this email out. Once again, it takes a little while for the email to go. All right, so on the receiver side, I get this email that basically says same thing, exact same thing on John Doe's side, right? But this email was also sent to Srinath.Sridhar at plus non-timely user, who doesn't have this Chrome extension. And let's say John Doe takes an action on this email. Specifically, John Doe says, I approve this email. Now, obviously, the sender, who is info, gets a notification saying, John Doe marked this email as approved. Now, the problem is that Srinath, who is a non-timely user, does not see this. And so what we do there is that if you look at sent mail, behind the scenes, we basically send an email to Srinath saying that John Doe has approved this. And that's the reason we need the gmail.send scope. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. So basically, if you have the Chrome extension, you get the notifications when people take actions. If you do not have the Chrome extension, but you're still involved on that email chain, then we have to resort to sending them an email notifying updates. So that's pretty much all of that Chrome extension.